won't see the background. Yes, right there.
You don't want to see my lovely screen?
Oh, no, that's perfect. I think that, yes.
I was just trying to make it look more official.
Yeah, that looks good.
Thank you. And hello, Jennifer.
Hi, I have to unmute. Okay, looks like.
Okay, so
live on YouTube.
Live right now.
We are live on YouTube and the meeting is being recorded, although it has not started yet.
Hello,
Hello.
this is Vince Harris, Chair of the committee.
Hi, Vince. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Good.
So which staff person will be assisting us this evening if we need help?
All of us. No, I'm Rebecca. I will be helping you out.
Rebecca? Okay.
Yes. Unfortunately,
you.
I don't have a camera, so you can't see me, but you can hear me and I can see you.
Very well. Rebecca?
Yes.
So will you be able to call the roll? I normally ask Dan to call the roll for us so we know we have a quorum. Will you
Yes.
be able to do that?
I'm prepared to do that. Yes.
Okay, great.
Thank you. And then once we do get started, just to remind you to please state the time and the date of the meeting and make sure everybody, please, for the record, states their name, especially when they're making motions.
Got it. Those are my basic notes.
Yep. All of us have these notes from Dan. Thank you, Vince. I appreciate your help.
You're welcome.
We have three committee members right now. Siraj, Lindsay, and Vince, the chair.
Yes, and Harvey's on the call too.
Oh, Harvey's on the
Yeah,
call?
we have a few other people now. It looks like there's 12 people here.
Oh, there is?
Yeah.
I don't see them all on my...
You probably have your video smaller, but if you click the participants, Jackie, you can have it show all.
I'm showing 5:30, but maybe we'll give it a few more minutes.
Sure, if you want to, that would be fine. It does appear at this point we do have a quorum, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, very well. Well, if we have a quorum, we're going to proceed. Good evening, everybody. This is Vince Harris. I'm calling the meeting to order at 5:30. Want to remind everyone, if please, when you speak, if you could give your full name so we can have that for the record. And Rebecca on the line, if I could ask you to call the roll to affirm that we have a quorum.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have, I'll just go ahead and say first names. If you could say here, Sig,
Here.
thank you, and Harvey.
Hello, here.
Hi, Harvey. Alan.
Currently unmuted,
Here.
Mike S has joined the meeting.
Hi, Alan. Suraj.
Here.
Hello, Suraj. And Jillian, our vice chair.
Here.
Hi, Jillian. Is Paul on the meeting? Paul? I didn't think I saw him. Paul? Not here. And Dora? I don't see Dora.
I'm here.
Oh, hi, Dora. I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's Dora Martinez now, so that's why. Thank you.
Oh, good. I was worried I'd say your name incorrectly, so now I can say it correctly. Thank you, Dora. Congratulations. Here, and Vince,
Present.
and Lindsay.
Here.
Hi, Lindsay. And lastly, I have Rudy. Rudy. No, Rudy. It does look like we have a quorum. I'd like to take a moment to introduce RTC staff that's on the call. For the record, Rebecca Capular with Planning, Schwinn,
Hi, this is Xuan Wang with RTC Planning.
and Jackie.
Hi, this is Jacqueline Maldonado for the RTC Planning.
Thank you. And we've got Doug from Engineering.
Good evening, this is Doug Malloy, Engineering Manager at the RTC.
Thanks, Doug. And then in transit, we've got Jennifer.
Hi, good evening, Jennifer Myers, Public Transportation and Operations.
Thank you. And Jennifer, could you do me a quick favor and introduce the guests you have on the meeting as well?
Yes, Megan McPhillamy is here with LSC Transportation Consultants, and she will speak on item number 4.
Great, thank you. And then lastly, I showed Jim is on the, oh no, we have David Carr also. So Jim,
Hi, everyone. This is Jim Gee from Public Transit.
thank you, Jim. And David. David Carr is present. I could see him. He's with RTC Transit as well. Is there anybody that I did not call?
Jeff Bonanno.
Oh, Jeff. Hi, Jeff.
Hi.
Oh, you know why? I have another sheet. So let's do that sheet. So is Mayuko on the phone? No. Jeff, yes. Thank you for
Yes,
that.
here.
Laura, I believe is here. Laura? I can see her name on the Zoom. And Mike. And lastly, Mauricio,
here.
thank you. I knew I would get someone's name wrong, but you're a trooper, so thank you. Okay, so yes, we have a quorum. All of our RTC staff are here, and our guests, I believe, have all been introduced. If there's anyone I missed, please speak up now. Okay, Mr. Chairman, I'm going to hand it back to you.
Okay, thank you, Rebecca.
You're
Again,
welcome.
good evening, everyone. We're going to proceed with the agenda. Item number 1 is approval of the agenda. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda, please?
Suraj
Anyone?
Verma will move to approve the agenda.
Suraj, and a second, please.
This is
Dora
Lindsay. I'll
Martinez.
second.
Lynn, thank you. All in favor, say
Aye.
aye.
Hi.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. The agenda is approved. Moving on to item number 2. Is there any public comment? I think I saw Dan come in with a comment that there was no public comment. Is that correct, Rebecca?
Yes, that's correct. We did not receive any public comment.
All right, then we can move on to item number 3. Item number 3 is approval of the August 5th and September 2nd meeting minutes of the committee. Are there any changes, additions, corrections to the minutes as presented? I had one question for staff, Rebecca, if I could. I noticed that the format of the two different meeting minutes was different. We normally get a summary approach, and that was attached for August the 5th, but the September 2nd minutes were more of a transcript. Is that what we're going to be having from now on? Are you aware?
Thank you for asking. As Dan had mentioned previously, we had some staffing changes and some staff were out. So we did have a court reporter do
I
the
see.
minutes. And no, that will not be our typical way of going. So it should go back to the summary format as preferred.
Okay, very well. Can I get a motion to, I'm going to approve both minutes since there were no comments or changes as one item. So item number 3, approval of the minutes for August 5th and September 2nd. Can I get a motion to approve?
I move that we approve the minutes.
And who's speaking?
Laura Azam. Laura Azam.
Laura, can I get a second, please?
Dora
Mauricio
Martinez,
Urias,
second.
second.
Dora, seconds. Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. Thank you. Moving on to item number 4. This is acknowledgement of receipt of a report regarding the update to the 2015 Coordinated Human Services CTP, or the Coordinated Public Transportation Plan. Rebecca, is there a staff person to present the item?
Yes, I'm going to have Jennifer Myers take this item and she has a guest that will present to you.
Thank you.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Again, for the record, Jennifer Myers. As you're aware, RTC is in the process of updating its Coordinated Human Services Transportation Plan that we refer to as the CTP. The purpose of the plan is to improve transportation coordination in the region for persons with disabilities and older adults, and to establish funding priorities for specialized transportation services. Last month, we engaged you in the development in this plan. And this evening, we have Megan McPhillamy with LSC Transportation to give you an update on the plan's development. Welcome, Megan. Thank you.
Thanks, Jennifer. I'm going to share my screen here, a couple slides for us to view. Give me one second. All right, hopefully everyone can see that. Hi, everyone. My name is Megan McPhillamy. I'm a transportation planner at LSC Transportation Consultants. I'm here today on behalf of our project manager, A.T. Stoddard, and the rest of our team to give you an update on the CTP. So since we met with you, I believe last month, we've finished our second interim report. This report provides an analysis of the community survey results. It also provides an assessment of transportation needs, discusses different coordination strategies, and provides some preliminary recommendations for implementation. So jumping into the community survey, it was available for about a month, from August 6th through September 1st. It was posted on RTC's website in both electronic and PDF versions in English and in Spanish. We had a total of 155 responses. 154 were to the English and 1 were to the Spanish version of the questionnaires. We also had assistance from RTC's customer service staff and the paratransit service provider, MTM Transit, who assisted callers calling in and were interested in completing the survey. We also provided information about the community survey to a wide number of local and regional organizations and groups through a variety of different stakeholder opportunities. To highlight some of the results of the survey, approximately 62% of respondents said that they are able to drive, or they are not able to drive, excuse me, and do not have a current license. About 65% said that they do not have regular access to a personal vehicle that they drive. About 48% said that they sometimes need a ride but don't have one. And about 36% of respondents said that they live near a bus stop, but due to a mobility limitation, they have trouble walking or boarding a vehicle without assistance. For those respondents who said that they're sometimes unable to get a ride, we asked them what types of trips they're unable to get a ride for. The top responses were for shopping trips by 59% of respondents, closely followed by respondents going to or from a medical appointment. When asked about what issues deter respondents from using RTC, taxis, Uber, Lyft, other transportation services, the top concerns were that the services were too expensive, it was too far to walk to access the service, or that they're just generally apprehensive or fearful about using the service. From the survey, as well as our meetings with stakeholders, we developed a list of key findings. Our key findings related to unmet needs include a lack of affordable transportation, a need for door-through-door service. Certain passengers and respondents said that they need that additional assistance, not just curb-to-curb or door-to-door service. A limited service area, a lack of accessible vehicles, although I should note this doesn't really relate to RTC's vehicles. This is more for those Uber, Lyft, other types of transportation that might not be accessible for wheelchairs. Requirement for advanced reservations can really play a role in making it hard to make last-minute necessary trips, and then limited service hours. In terms of coordination issues, our key findings included a lack of information about services. A lot of people we talked to through the survey and through stakeholder meetings just indicated they weren't aware of what services were even available to them. So they didn't even know what resources were existing in their community. Another was difficulty matching resources with needs. And lastly, agencies being focused on their own clients and services, which can lead to duplication of services. You have multiple different organizations or agencies providing service in the same geographic location, but they're providing it to different types of clients, and there might not be any overlap there. The final section of the report outlines a variety of different coordination strategies. Our preliminary recommendations include creating a local coordinating council and a one-call, one-click center. A local coordinating council provides a forum for setting service and coordination priorities and allows key stakeholders to develop recommendations for program funding. It can also help to resolve coordination issues, as well as identify and overcome any barriers to coordination. Some of the challenges associated with a local coordinating council is that it does require one organization to be responsible for both forming and administering the council. It also requires participation by all funding agencies and transportation providers, which can sometimes be a challenge. The second recommendation is a one-call, one-click center. This is a single point of contact for users and can really enhance opportunities for regional connections. The basic capability for operating a call center already exists in the region, which would be a key advantage. RTC is currently the primary operator of paratransit services and could continue to provide the core of these services, with other providers then helping to serve those individuals with higher levels of need. A one-call, one-click center also could provide improved operational efficiency, and those cost savings could then be used to help enhance services. Some of the challenges associated with a one-call, one-click center include that the technology must be implemented for all providers, and it does require detailed cost analysis for each of the participating providers. Really, the key for a one-call, one-click center is that the efficiency is gained by mixing of passengers and vehicles. So all those different agencies that are providing individual trips, getting those passengers onto shared rides is where the efficiencies are gained. That can be a challenge. In terms of our next steps, we are working to put together a draft plan, which includes all of our work thus far that's been included in these interim reports, as well as a draft address any staff and other comments received. We will be conducting public and stakeholder comment through during November in conjunction with the regional transportation plan. So we will be back to present that draft plan when it's available, and at your next meeting probably give you an update on that as well. And that's where we're at. Happy to answer any questions you might have.
Do we have any questions for Megan?
I have a question.
Please.
For the record, Lindsay Costello. Was the accessibility of the bus stops themselves addressed in your study?
I don't believe we looked at actual individual bus stops. That can be an issue, of course, making sure that bus stops are ADA accessible, as well as conveniently located, but we didn't delve into specific locations of those bus stops.
Lindsay, this is Rebecca Capular for the record with RTC Planning. We just updated our ADA transition plan. And in doing that, we evaluated over 360 of our bus stops. We didn't look at the bus stops that we knew were not compliant because they were in the dirt or in the hole, had a, just had a pole in the ground. But we do have our transition plan on our website. And if you have any questions about that, I'd be happy to talk to you offline.
I actually was part of that study, so I didn't know it was part of a different plan, so I was just curious.
Awesome. Well, thank you for helping us with that.
It was fun in snow.
That's right. You guys were collecting data in the snow. Thank you.
Are there any other questions for Megan on this item?
I have a question. This is Jillian Keller. You said
Go ahead.
155 responses were tallied. Is that typical for studies that you've done for areas this size?
Well, this is certainly a challenging time to get public feedback, no doubt about it. And it's certainly a hard group to reach, not in person. A lot of what we would do would be to, meet up with seniors at the senior center for lunch, or try to meet them at the activities they're already doing. And that, of course, is not possible right now. So we did it all online, as I said, or through paper versions of the survey. And we're very pleased with the 155 results. I think that's a fantastic turnout. It is in line with what other communities see, but we certainly worked hard to get those 155 responses.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Megan? Okay, well, Megan, thank you again for presenting for us. We really appreciate it. To the committee, if I could get a motion to accept the CTP. Can I get a motion?
This is Jillian Keller. I move to acknowledge receipt of the report.
Thank you. Can I get a second?
This is Harvey Cates. I second.
Thank you, Harvey. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, thank you so much. The motion carries. Again, thank you, Megan. We are moving on to item number 5. This is acknowledged receipt of a report on the status of the projects administered by RTC from the engineering department. Do we have staff here to present this item? Rebecca,
Yes.
do we have someone here?
I was waiting for Rebecca. Do you want to introduce Rebecca? I can introduce myself. It's Doug Malloy, again, from engineering department, and happy to present on some projects, some exciting projects that we are either in development of or in construction. I just, before I get started, and I'll share my screen here, let me do that first. Bear with me.
And I didn't unmute myself, Doug, so thank you for introducing yourself. Sorry.
Oh, that muting thing. I know. I hate that. Bear with me here. Gotta get better at this. All right. Are you seeing the screen with notes or without notes?
Without notes?
You are. Okay.
Actually, Doug, we're seeing the note. We're seeing.
Okay.
Yeah, we are seeing the notes.
Let
It's
me-
just that there are no notes.
Yeah, not yet. Yeah.
Not yet.
How's that? Is that better?
It didn't. Oh, yes, that's much better.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that. I just wanted to mention earlier question about accessibility to some of our bus stops. I thought, Rebecca, maybe I could add to that, engineering is working on projects in different phases to provide sidewalk connectivity to our bus stops. And that's part of that transition plan. I believe, Rebecca, you could probably add to that, but I just wanted to mention that. It's not one of the projects I'm presenting tonight, but I just wanted to mention that.
Thank you. And yes, I know in the next phases, we just looked at 180 stops that they're looking at implementing and connectivity for the bus stops as well.
All right, so I'll get started. I hope. Did we lose my share somehow?
I think we did.
If we lost your screen, Doug.
Oh, gone it. I'm not sure what's happening here. I'm going to get this right. I did this the other day and it worked fine.
There you go.
Way back? Okay. And that's without notes, I hope.
No
Okay.
notes, but it looks like it might be the end of your presentation, the last slide.
That would be the problem.
We'll get there.
Sorry. All right, first slide, first project. Thanks for your patience. So as I mentioned, we've got quite a few projects that are in development. Many of them are multimodal improvements. I'm sharing just the bulk of the ones that I would consider to be our larger projects, and those that are beyond a lot of what we do, which is just reconstruction of existing roads. But these are bigger projects than that, and they do have a significant multimodal component to them. So I wanted to share that, mentioning that some are in construction, but most of them are in development and coming to us soon. So the first one is Lemon Drive. It's a capacity improvement. It's in two segments. The first segment is widening from 4 lanes to 6 lanes from the interchange, US 395 interchange out to Military Drive. We're going to be providing, there are really no other mobility improvements out there to speak of. There's just shoulders and unimproved, as the photo shows you there. We're going to be providing a shared use path, sidewalk on one side. There'll be some corridor lighting, bike lanes, and other improvements in that corridor. So considerable improvements, and we're looking forward to those. We are partnering with NDOT. Department of Transportation is planning improvements on US 395, including widening southbound lanes from even beyond Lemon south to Clearacre, and to kind of go with the Spaghetti Bowl improvements that are planned as well. We're partnering with them to reconstruct the interchange there at Lemon. Figured it'd be a good opportunity. These projects basically would butt up to one another. Why not look at converging, combining them into a single project? We can get in there, get all of the improvements done, and be out of that area. So we're doing that. That's been preliminarily designed. We're going to go ahead and finish that design and then incorporate it into our project to deliver one construction package, hopefully next year. The budget estimate's $20 million. That's going to be local fuel tax and some state funds as well. Could begin construction in summer and be complete the following year. The segment 2 portion's a little more complicated. The photo here shows the Swan Lake area where there's been considerable flooding because it is a closed basin. There's really no place for the water to go. A lot of challenges out there. This is a 2-lane segment that will be widening to 4 lanes. But in addition to that, we are looking to elevate that roadway to get it out of that flood area. We're working with the county. They are doing other types of studies and eventually some work to fix this situation out there from at least continual flooding when there's high runoff and heavy winters. And so we're going to be working in conjunction with them so that we're not doing anything that would preclude their improvements or make it more challenging. We want to work together. We got a $50 million estimate for this one. There'll be fuel tax and some other funds that we'll be looking for to construct this. Right now, we're just looking to do preliminary design. There's a couple different alternatives that we're looking at. including running a new alignment along that, let's call it the high and dry area there that you see in the photo. That's one of the alternatives. There's a couple of others, including staying on alignment. We'll be making an alternative selection here this fall, hopefully, and then start moving forward with design and construction, all of which will be determined in the future. Moving on to Arlington Street Bridge replacement. Arlington Street is a major north-south route for us. The two bridges, there's actually two. The river splits there. The one on the bottom of the picture, lower portion of the picture, is just a very small but very basic bridge. The other has more significance to it, carries a lot more water through it, under it, I should say. We're doing a feasibility study and developing some alternatives for replacing that bridge. We're working with Jacobs Engineering. They actually designed the Virginia Street Bridge. So we're looking at different bridge types. There's advisory committees and public stakeholders that we're going to be taking some alternatives out to get some input on that, as we then probably move into preliminary design and environmental work as well. Some of the stakeholders include the Army Corps of Engineers, the Carson Water District, who's responsible for the Truckee River, SHPO, this is a historic structure, and others. So we'll be hopefully finishing up that alternatives analysis and head into preliminary design in late 2021. As you can see, the budget there is $25.5 million. Again, fuel tax and some other funds to be determined. We'll make sure that we're providing access through there for pedestrians, bicycles. There'll be some aesthetic improvements as well. And by the way, I didn't mention the area there. It basically goes, well, downtown, just south of First Street. The Audie Wells Complete Street project, Audie Boulevard and portions of Wells Avenue are former NDOT roadways. I mention that because they are fairly wide corridors. There's more right-of-way than we typically see on a roadway, because it was formerly more of a highway type facility. What this does is provides us some opportunity to perhaps now it's no longer NDOT's, it's in the cities of Sparks and Reno, but it gives us some opportunity to take a look at changing that corridor a little bit. There are very limited improvements out there. And so what you're seeing here is a concept of what this might look like. And so we are going to be narrowing the pavement widths, moving the curb lines, and constructing a cycle track raised and separated from the roadway for the majority of it, that's all of Audie Boulevard and parts of Wells Avenue. Where we're constrained closer to the event center or the rodeo facility, we're going to be doing a multi-use path on one side. So very excited about how this corridor is going to change. We'll provide some aesthetic improvements. You see the lighting there. There'll be some landscaping. We're going to be building some screen walls to kind of just change the look and feel. This will slow down speeds through there and just make it an entirely different corridor going forward. So the estimate for it is about $39 million. That'll be fuel tax funded, and our schedule is to finish design later this year and get into construction 2021, 2022. This is a Sun Valley Boulevard multimodal improvement project you're seeing here. We're doing a portion of the entire corridor, which we've studied previously. Right now, we're working from 7th Avenue up to Highland Branch, so basically the north end of Sun Valley Boulevard. Again, multimodal improvements. Well, there'll be bike lanes, sidewalks. You're seeing new sidewalk there as it's being constructed, because it is under construction currently. We're going to make sure we have access to our bus stops and build bus stop improvements pads along the corridor where there are stops, existing stops. We're going to do some improvements at the 7th Street intersection, including widening it, providing some capacity there, and then making sure that everything is accessible as far as the ramps and the signals themselves. The Phase 1 budget's $9.5 million. That's fuel tax funded, and it's well under construction now. As a matter of fact, I believe they're paving this week, should be complete here in the next month. Future phases south of 7th within the NDOT right-of-way area will be determined. We're working out how we're going to be able to perhaps continue these improvements further south. Next is Center Street multimodal improvements. This we did a study to determine some cycle track or separated buffered facilities north and south, getting connection from the university down to Midtown. We looked at a couple different alternatives in that study. It was decided we'd be looking at a two-way cycle track on what is one-way Center Street. Very challenging. We wanted to make sure we checked all the boxes and could build this facility, make it safe, of course, and user friendly for the investment that we're looking to provide. So as I said, it's a cycle track. It'll be protected, buffered. Most of the project is the lanes will be reconfigured a bit where we have to take some parking. We'll have to do that, perhaps lane in some locations because it is constrained. We're really not looking to widen. But most of the project is going to be signal reconstruction to accommodate that cycle track, if you will. There'll be ramp improvements there, making those all ADA accessible PED buttons at all those intersections. And then there is some rehabilitation of the existing asphalt pavement that we're going to undertake with this project so that the improvements that we put down, we know will be won't need to be touched for quite some time. We'll do some sidewalk improvements up in the northern end where there's some very deteriorated sidewalk and discontinuous sidewalk. We'll be looking to combine that. It's also a project in our RTP. So we're basically combining two RTP projects together. The estimate's about $10 million. We're still working on the final scope of that. Design is underway. It'll be hopefully completed in late 2022 with construction in 2023. This is Sparks Boulevard widening. When we constructed the Veterans Parkway extension or the Southeast Connector, obviously we added a lot of traffic to Sparks Boulevard. So north of Gregg Street, over the freeway into the heart of Spanish Springs, there's increased traffic travel demands, as you can imagine. So we're providing capacity improvements. It's a 4-lane facility. We're going to widen it to 6 lanes. There is a shared use path in this corridor. We're going to not only perpetuate that, but improve it as well, moving its location around and connectivity. We're looking at different options for that. We do have bus facilities through here. And so it does cover the full range of multimodal improvements in this particular corridor. The segment is from Gregg Street all the way up to Bering Boulevard near Reed High School. I expect that this project will be built in a couple different phases. You can see the estimate there of over 70 million. So we won't be able to fund that in one project. That'll likely be 2 or perhaps 3 different projects. Right now it'll be fuel tax, but we'll look for some other funding opportunities as well. The schedule, we're in environmental and preliminary design right now. We know there's environmental impacts. We've got the North Truckee Drain there. There's waters of the United States that are protected. We'll be looking at sound impacts, perhaps constructing some sound walls, and obviously other resources that we'll be looking at in the environmental process. Final design, I expect on first phase could be around fall of 2022, and construction to be determined. And then the last project I wanted to talk about is the Pyramid Highway US 395 connector project. We completed an environmental study for this project, which also has a connection from Pyramid over to US 395. It's about 12 miles of improvements overall and close to $1 billion. Clearly a project that we'll be building in phases. And the first phase is to take it from the Pyramid McCarran intersection that we completed a few years back taking it from Queenway near that intersection north up to Golden View, north of Los Altos, if you're familiar with the area. What you're seeing here in the photos is it's really an unimproved roadway. It's just a traffic mover. You're just seeing shoulders there. There's no bike facilities, no sidewalk facilities. It's just, again, it's a highway. It's an NDOT facility. We're working with them currently on the design of phase 1. They're doing that design internally. It's going quite well. Again, it's going to be widening from 4 to 6 lanes up to Los Altos, and then just reconfiguring the lanes north of Los Altos to Golden View. We're building, as I mentioned, the bike lanes, a multi-use path on one side of the facility, sidewalks, and there'll be some other aesthetic improvements that will be constructed as well. The estimate's $51 million. And the exciting news is we applied for and received a grant from the Department of Transportation, a $23 million grant. I don't know what the acronym stands for, build grant, but it's a very competitive grant that we were successful on. Only about 70 projects have been awarded across 44 different states, and we were fortunate to receive that grant. So we'll be accelerating this project as much as we can to get those funds expended on it. As I mentioned, it's $51 million overall. The match will be with local fuel tax and state funds. Perhaps some other federal funds will be added to the project as well. We're in design, as I mentioned. NDOT is doing the design, and construction could begin in 2023. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you, Doug. Do we have any questions for Doug?
I got a couple of little questions. This is Harvey Cates. Now, the first project you mentioned was the Lemon Drive, is that correct?
Yes.
And you said the second part of it was a $50 million project, and that had to do with getting it out of the flood zone. And how much was the cost of the first project? I know you said, but I forget.
Yeah, $20 million on the first project, which is partly funded by the state. They're going to contribute $10 million to that interchange, and the project that goes from the interchange essentially to military is about $10 million.
Okay. My second question was this new Arlington Street bridge. Is that going to be designed like the new Virginia Street Bridge to avoid having any kind of a support in the riverbed?
It is not. So two very different bridges hydraulically, and their impacts to the river and to flooding potentials in downtown. That's an excellent question. We can put a pier in it. It has one now. It's separate. It's got a pier in the center of it currently. We are looking at a clear span. Clearly, that would provide some hydraulic benefits, but it doesn't have the same impacts to flooding and to the river that the Virginia Street Bridge did previously. That was the real bottleneck downtown. So although we can construct it with a pier, and that makes it perhaps more economical, a little easier to construct, we are looking at a couple different options.
Thank you. And the projects, they all look good, like they would be a real improvement for the Reno area. And I'm glad to see that the multi-use pathways and the bicycle pathways are included in a lot of this.
Thank you. Yeah, we are too. We're excited.
Laura Azam, I have one comment or a couple. I just wanted to congratulate you on the grant. I think that is great, and give the grant writer kudos. And if you could just take into consideration the look of the bridge, kind of comparing it to the other new bridge. Well, now it's an old bridge, I guess, huh? I'm dating myself. You know, and just kind of the aesthetics of it.
Yes.
That's it. So congrats on the grant.
Yeah, we will be. There'll be an aesthetic component to it for sure. How that shakes out will obviously depend upon the bridge selection, but in combination with that. Good comments.
This is Jillian Keller. I have a couple comments and questions.
Any other questions for Doug?
Yep, Vince, I'm asking a question here. Jillian Keller.
Mhm.
First of all, thank you for all of that information. Would this PowerPoint or accompanying information be available to us to sort of process more, since that was so much?
Absolutely.
Okay.
You know, I can provide it as a PowerPoint, but it might be easier just to provide you a PDF of the files.
That would be great.
Okay,
Yeah.
I will provide that to Rebecca or whomever, and they can distribute it.
Excellent, thank you.
Thanks.
I just wanted to comment, you know, the Audie Wells and then the Center Street cycle track. Connectivity is a really important component to riding a bike. And so any ability to just at least consider how some of the cycling resources can connect would be amazing. I know that's sort of like Center Street and then Audie Wells, they're kind of like in the same parallel, but veering off too, but just something to keep in mind. I'm sure you have that in mind. I was wondering, the pyramid widening project, with 6 lanes, a bike lane and a multi-use path, are you guys thinking of having the multi-use path, having the bike lane with the multi-use path, or having the bike lane with the 6 lanes of traffic?
It will be part of the pavement. So we'll have bike lanes on each side, of 5-foot bike lanes typical. There was actually going to be constructed curb and gutter. You didn't see that there. That's just shoulders right now. We're going to make it more of a street. So curb and gutter, and then the multi-use path will be connected either to the curb and gutter or separated slightly from it.
Okay, so would cyclists have the option of using either?
Yes, absolutely. And we know the demand is different for each, right? Those cyclists that are what I would call more experienced, they typically want to stay on the roadway, is my understanding. And then, you know, the shared use path provides a little safer route for maybe other ages and groups of folks to use.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right, great. Thank you for your time.
I just want to comment on the first. I'm sorry, you mentioned something about Audie. Is it Audie Wells?
Yeah, I mentioned connecting the cycle track.
Oh yes. Yeah. Thank you. What I wanted to mention is we are looking at. We're working with the city on some east-west type of facilities as well as we develop our 2050 regional transportation plan. So there'll be potentially some connection there to Center Street. And I think there might be some options or opportunities to get the Wells portion connected over generally to Center Street too. So some of the things we'll be looking at in our long range plan.
While I have you, I'm sorry to keep everyone just curious, you know, it seems like the gold standard for biking facilities would be a protected bike lane like the cycle track you're making. And then after that, it would be at least a bike lane. Is there prioritization? Is there what is the process? And maybe this is, you know, a point to expound on at another meeting, but just wondering sort of what the process is in terms of, okay, this area and this project can have a protected bike lane, this can just have a bike lane, and this gets sharrows, you know?
Sure. Yeah, that's an excellent question, and one we're working through right now. We know the bicycle community has made some requests for some buffered, separated to meet the 8 to 80, the age group of 8 to 80, right? You're probably familiar with that. And I know the plan is looking into that, and there'll be some prioritization based upon a lot of different things. A lot of these corridors are constrained, and to construct a separated buffered facility that goes outside of the existing right-of-way means in a lot of cases property takes. And makes it really, really challenging for us to look at it economically and for other reasons. So I'm not, Rebecca could probably speak more to this question, but I know we're looking at where these opportunities might come from. And now's the time to provide comment on it as we develop that plan, which I believe we solicited for some comments earlier this year. Rebecca?
Thank you, Doug.
Yeah, thanks, Doug. I don't really have much more to add. And for the record, Rebecca Capular, we are looking at a downtown connectivity plan, and we're looking at how to connect the different types of cycle tracks to each other. One thing I have heard is that once they are built, usage will be a part of that. So we'll be doing data collection to see how many bicyclists are actually using the infrastructure. You know, there's been discussion about the Victorian Square cycle track, and that's not used a lot, but it is used. So we're hoping that the connectivity between the university and Midtown will be a really nice starting point for us to be able to collect some data and see how it's working.
Hi, this is Dora Martinez. I have a comment. Can I go ahead?
Go ahead, Dora.
Okay, so for Doug, I know you mentioned 7th Street, and that got my attention because that's around where I live. I believe, and that would be Route 4. I take that. I believe it's Canal or Genoa. And forgive me if I'm pronouncing them wrong. I just go by the automatic bus stop calls. But one of those two stops are not, if a person is on a wheelchair, when the driver, I don't know, for some reason doesn't lift them off the street and they put them on that little patch of pavement for the RTC bus, they cannot get off and, you know, to go home or something. And it's one of those stops, Genoa or Canal. So maybe somebody wants to look at that. And also my question, I went to Route 21 and it's an inbound. And I believe it's Nichols. It's across Western Village. So on that stop on Nichols inbound, Route 21, the bus let me off, and I'm totally blind, let me off on the I guess it's a sidewalk, and then a bike path, and then a sidewalk. Do you, check it? Do you guys know what I'm talking about? But so when I got off the bus, somebody was, you know, on the bike with their dog on the side on that bike track. And there was like, wait, bike coming. And I didn't know. I'm like, what are you? I thought this is a sidewalk, but then there's no ramp that I'm aware of. And I have a service dog and he knows how to look for ramp to get off and cross to the other side of the main sidewalk. So maybe you guys want to look at that. And I don't know, that's scary because you get off the bus and then you got to listen. If they're good, they will let you know that they're coming on your right or left. I don't know. But if they don't, they just kind of wish you and it's like, whoa, what the heck was that? You know? I don't know if you guys are aware of what I'm talking about, but those are my concerns regarding, and I cannot see this picture. So maybe Doug, I will call you and you can describe this sharing videos picture that you got. So I'm aware because I got to represent the blind community because we do walk a lot and with a white cane or a service animal. And this is scary, you know, so I'm just letting you know. Thank you.
Dora, thank you for your comments. I do know what you're referring to on Nichols Boulevard for sure. We've got a separated facility there with a curb. Jim is, you know, here and listening and hearing that comment as well. I'll get with them and see what maybe and get with you and see a little more specifically what the concern is there and how that maybe could be resolved. So if you don't, I don't, you probably don't have my phone number. Would you like me to give it to you now, or is there a way I can provide it to you?
I can.
Sure, I can memorize it. Okay, that's cool. That sounds good. Go ahead. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, it's 775, of course, 335-1865.
Thank you so much, Doug.
That is my office number. I'm going to be out of the office. If you were to call me tomorrow, I'm going to be out of the office till Tuesday of next week. But Dora, I'd love to talk to you about Nichols a little bit more and your other concerns. canal
Okay,
and.
thank you, Doug.
Canal and.
This is Vince Harris. This is Vince Harris. I just had one little question myself. The roadway that's in the floodplain, you're gonna have to elevate it. About how much higher are you gonna have to make that road to clear the floodplain?
Yeah, that's a great question. I believe it's in the neighborhood of 2 to 3 feet, which is actually very significant for that length of roadway.
Understood.
But there is an established elevation they want us to target. I apologize, I don't know what it is for sure. So I'm kind of guessing at that number.
Understood. Well, thank you again, Doug. Are there any other questions for Doug this evening? Hearing none. Doug, thank you again for the presentation. We really appreciate you coming this evening.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Item number 5, acknowledge receipt of a report on the status of a project administered by the engineering department. Can I get a motion to accept the report?
This is Harvey. I move that we accept it.
And can I get a second, please?
Jeff Banana, I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion passes. Moving on to item number 6, acknowledge receipt of a report and provide direction on the 2050 RTP. Rebecca, do we have a presentation?
Hi, yes, Mr. Chairman. Xuan Wong with RTC Planning will be providing a presentation to you today.
Okay, I hope everyone can see my screen and hear me.
Yes.
Great. Good evening, everyone. This is Xuan Wang, Senior Technical Planner with RTC Huazhou. I'm with the Planning Department. So today I'm going to give a status update of our 2050 Regional Transportation Plan, and I'll focus on the project evaluation. So during the past few months, the RTC has sought input from the community in identifying projects to consider in the 2050 RTP. We launched several outreach events, including online public meetings, agency working group meetings, online survey, and also presentations to different groups and jurisdictions. So I'm going to go over some of the recommendations we got in terms of recommended projects. So City of Reno has requested us to take a look at the downtown circulation. So we started the downtown Reno circulation study. And in this study, we looked into the roadway network, safety, and also multimodal transportation. So this map here shows the preliminary results from this study, and we're still working on the study. So in general, we want to improve safety, lighting, and transit stops along 4th Street. We looked into the existing bike facilities and recommended adding additional bike facilities to improve the bicycle network. Similarly, in Sparks, we looked into the Sparks industrial area. Also, we looked at the existing bike lanes. And also, we're in discussion with the City of Sparks staff to improve sidewalk accessibilities. We recommend improve operations, safety, and multimodal transportation along Gregg and McCarran Boulevard. And also there are park and ride locations identified along Gregg Street, so people could park their car and carpool together right to the Tri-Center. We mapped all the recommended roadway projects to identify the locations of these potential improvements. And this map here shows the southern area of our region. And these projects include both the existing 2040 RTP projects and the new recommended projects. And you can see their capacity projects and the multimodal project, also intersection locations where operations can be improved. Moving to the central area of our region, this area you can see similarly capacity and multimodal projects, but there are also more cycle track projects. In the northern area of our region, we expect growth in the North Valley, Sun Valley, and the Spanish Springs and Sparks. So there are many capacity-related projects, both from the 2040 RTP and the new recommendations. So employment has been growing in the Tri-Center. So there are recommendations about improving connectivity from Washoe County to Story County. And these are the 3 corridors people recommended. One is from Spanish Springs to the interchange of USA Parkway and the I-80, and also improving I-80 for improving the existing I-80 to add capacity, and also in the south, extending the existing South Meadows Parkway to connect to the south end of the Tri-Center in Story County. In terms of transit services, people recommended microtransit to extended areas, including Incline Village, South Reno, and Cold Springs, Peppermill Station improvements and joint development, extend the Lincoln Line on 4th Street to the Legends, and monorail to the airport. We also asked for general suggestions for our projects, programs, and services on our online survey. So for projects, people recommend having more complete streets, protected the bike connectivity, encourage mode shift, and more capacity and improved traffic operations on McCarran Boulevard, safety and lighting improvements, improved signal coordination, light rail, parking lots, and park and ride locations. For projects, for programs, people want to see more bike parking, lockers, mitigation of site distance issues, encourage development density, safety programs, including ADA, school zone, and messaging, trip reduction programs, pavement preservation, and maintenance. For services, people want to see microtransit and the general transit going to the outlying areas, direct transit routes to corporate and shopping centers, bike share and scooters, and also adding electric vehicle charging stations. So right now we're working on analyzing and evaluating all these received recommendations, and we're using a data-driven, performance-based method to evaluate all these projects. And here's an example for roadway projects. Obviously, services programs will be evaluated differently. And also this does not include group categories, including intersection improvements and group spot improvements. So for roadway projects, each project will be scored using these criteria, including safety, congestion, bicycle and pedestrian equity, regional plan land use priority, pavement condition, flood mitigation, project readiness, private and other agency funding. So the last 2 criteria, public input and agency working group input, will be added later after we receive additional input from the public and our partner agencies. So we have presented this evaluation framework before. I think many of you are familiar with these evaluation criteria. One criteria we added this time is the equity. So this is a criteria to measure if a project is within or in proximity to areas with equity concerns. These include food desert as identified by the USDA within quarter mile of a school or a hospital, census tract with a higher than Washoe County average portions of disabled residents, low-income households, zero vehicle households, minority residents, and residents age 85 and old. Seniors age 65 and older. So for each of these criteria met, the project will be added 2 to 3 points. So as I said, we're working on scoring and evaluating these projects. And after that, we'll develop revenue forecast, and then we'll come back with the evaluation results and get additional inputs from the public and our partner agencies. So eventually we'll have a finalized list of projects to include in our 2050 regional transportation plan. So that's all I have for my presentation. I'm happy to take any questions and hear additional discussion. And if you have additional projects for us to consider, please reach out to us and we will take a look at these projects. Thank you.
The committee, are there any questions? No questions. Well, we thank you so much for bringing the update to us on the RTP. We look forward to its development.
Thank you.
Item number 6. So can I get a motion to acknowledge receipt of the report as provided?
Laura Azam, I move that we acknowledge receipt of the plan as received.
Thank you.
Sir, second.
Thank you. All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion passes. Thank you. We're moving on to item number 7, member announcements or agenda items. Do any members have any announcements or agenda items you'd like to bring forth this evening? Okay, hearing none, moving on. RTC ride access staff items, any this evening, Rebecca?
Hi, sorry, this is Dora Martinez. I'm just looking for my unmute button. The item 7 for the agenda for item for next meeting, is it possible to request the, I don't know their title, but for RTC access, their safety representative person in regards to their policy and regulation for the passengers who do take access? Can they be on the next meeting, Rebecca? That's just my thought.
Yes, I can talk.
Rebecca, are you there?
I'm here. We can definitely talk about that, and maybe Dora, we can reach out to you or have Dan reach out to you to find out more specifically about what you're looking for and work with Jim Gee and our transit staff to get an item on here for you.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Rebecca, back to the item number 8. Are there any staff items from RTC rides?
Yes, Jim, I'm going to hand it to you
Staff
first.
this evening. Anything we need to?
Yep. I'll take it, Rebecca. Thank you, Vince. For the record, Jim Gee, RTC Service Plan and Innovation Manager for the public transit site. Just a couple announcements. First, we have 2 free ride days coming up. On Tuesday, November 3rd, which is Election Day, will be free rides on RTC. And on Wednesday, November 11th, Veterans Day, again, there will be free rides on RTC. That's for ride, access, flex ride, any service that RTC offers. And the service will be free for both of those days. And then secondly, on Saturday, October 24th, we will be launching our new FlexRide software and our new FlexRide service, both in the existing FlexRide areas of Sparks and the North Valleys, but also new areas of Spanish Springs and Somerset Verdi. So Saturday, October 24th is the launch date for the whole new FlexRide. There will be an app that it will be in the Google and Apple App Store labeled RTC Flex Ride that you'll be able to download and schedule your trip. That app should be available pretty much any day now. But again, it won't be live until October 24th when the new service launches. So we're pretty excited about that. That's a big change for us. But we're getting all of our training in order, all of our marketing materials in order, and we will be definitely ready for October 24th. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Jim. I really like the Flex Ride. This is Dora Martinez, so thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you again, Jim.
And Mr. Chairman, this is Rebecca Capular. I also have a RTC update. Just our next meeting will be coming up in November after the time change, which is November 1st. So anybody who's either watching this on YouTube Live or listening in, just to remember that with the time change, it gets darker earlier and stays late. Darker more in the morning. And as you know, we have had a lot of our vulnerable road users, which are bicyclists and pedestrians who've been hit in low light settings. So just to be mindful of each other. And if you're out walking and biking, to try to be as visible and predictable as possible. The Vision Zero Task Force will be kicking off a campaign later this month called Dusk to Dawn NV. And it's a statewide campaign that will be going out. So keep your ears and eyes open for that and be safe. So thank you.
Thank you. So Rebecca, I assume we have no additional public comment. Is that correct?
That's correct, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you very much. I would entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Mr. Raj, I move to adjourn.
Can I get a second, please?
Dora Martinez, I second.
Anyway, thank you, Dora. All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. The meeting is adjourned at 6:37.
Thank you. Be safe, amazing people. Good night.
Hi, Dora.
See you next month.
Hey, Jeff, what's that booth you're in? That's pretty cool.
I'm
Got the
doing
disco?
I do voiceover services now.
Oh,
So
you do?
I built I